think my biggest concern is, am I going to be able to have enough money to survive in the world? Am I going to have a job? Am I going to have enough money to pay off my student loans? Am I going to have to go and live at home with my parents again? Am I going to have enough security that I can retire someday, or am I going to work until the day I die?
My biggest immediate financial concern is how am I going to afford health care, even basic health care. Right now it's pretty much impossible, but probably the next 3 to 5 years would be education. I constantly feel like with everything in my life I have to substitute things in and out as far as finances go. So being able to afford health care and education at the same time is not easy.
My biggest financial concern would be, I guess, paying rent and making sure that I have enough money to buy groceries and just go and live a normal day.
My biggest financial concern, just as a college student, is kind of the thought of the future, having to kind of be an adult and support myself.
So credit card applications came to me starting in high school. I actually didn't ever sign any off or get a credit card then, although we did laugh. My younger brother was 14 when the first credit card applications started coming to him. And I went to college my first year, and about halfway through college I started getting the bombardment of not just the in-the-mail credit card applications, but the people that called you on the phone all the time.
I was 18 when I got my first offer, I think. They send them to you on your birthday, like your 18th birthday, pretty much. They know, you know. And I've had, you know, a checking account through my bank since I was 16, so I got my first credit card probably a couple months after I turned 18.
I actually don't have any credit cards. I applied for one and I got turned down, which I think is sort of uncommon that people would get turned down for a credit card when they're practically handing them out on college campuses.
Credit cards kind of scare me a little bit, but I'm planning on trying to use it smartly and just be able to pay it off right away and not really have to worry about getting into debt, because I've just heard a lot of scary stories about that.
I got my first credit card immediately out of high school and promptly did horrible things with it, just used it as soon as I went into college, and it was taken away before I left college. It was canceled. And I also had, that was a Visa card, and then I also had like a Mervyn's card and a Target card, and those also were canceled.
My friends travel for vacations, and half the time I just think I really should cut back on how many vacations I go on, because they're all expensive and I should just stay at home for a vacation once in a while or do something simple and cheap. And no, they always talk me into it, and they're always like, oh, it'll be fun, you can do it, just go donate your plasma or something. And I don't want to, but so I just spend all of my savings, and sometimes I, you know, eat top ramen for a week.
I've heard of my friends coming out of college with some enormous amount of debt just from getting 1 or 2 credit cards and going out and getting TVs and cars, and just it would probably be perfectly easy for me to have done that. I don't have the credit cards, so I can't really, but I do certainly spend until the money's gone, and then I just sort of have to make do with what I have for the rest of the month until I get another paycheck.
Overspending money is probably one of my worst flaws that I have, especially today. It's really hard to go out and have people ask you to go do things, and then you're always wondering about, you know, do I have enough money to do this? Am I going to have enough money tomorrow? Am I going to have enough money to buy groceries or pay rent the next week?
Yeah, I would say the pressure to overspend what I have, then that leads to me overspending money, because it's definitely there sometimes. You know people, people always want to do stuff, and it's hard not to spend money, and You got a lot of bills these days with phones too and everything.
Well, I think that just in American culture in general, there's kind of a buy, spend money on your appearance. There's just a lot of materialistic symbols out there and commercials and advertisements and stuff.
Being out and being like, ooh, we're taking a trip to Seattle, let's spend money on food. That was, I think, the biggest thing that got me in trouble with the credit card was spending money at restaurants. It's not money, it's a plastic card.
I've never had anything happen to me personally with fraud or privacy. I've never had anything. No one's ever done anything.
Actually, I also have not dealt with that myself.
If there's going to be an identity to be stolen, it's probably not like a 20-year-old college student, because they probably don't have that much to gain from them. But yeah, so I've never really had an experience with actual identity theft.
There's certain things in life that you don't figure out until you absolutely have to. For me, identity theft was one of those things. It was Saturday around 6 o'clock in the evening, and I'd received about 10 phone calls in a row on my cell from various mortgage companies, car dealerships, and insurance companies. Of course, this threw up a red flag, and I began scrambling for answers on what to do. I spent the next 3 days dealing with similar phone calls while collecting information from businesses that were calling, as well as trying to figure out the best way to make it stop. At some point, I discovered an 800 number you can call and put a fraud alert on all 3 of your credit reports. Over the course of the next week, the phone calls slowed and eventually stopped, but I never figured out who was applying for things with my information online.
I trust mainly myself with my financial resources, but if I had to ask questions, I would probably go either to my parents, because I know that they're pretty familiar with that, or I would probably go to a business where they would have the information for me.
I trust my family a lot, but they don't know. I don't know who else to trust other than sometimes I think maybe I should call my bank and talk to them, but then I think, are they just going to try to push me into something else that I don't want?
Usually I ask a lot of questions of my mom. She's kind of my financial advisor at this point, because my finances aren't very complex. They're just confusing to me.
I think that the two people I would probably trust would be my bank and my parents.
I think that I need to be seeking out the information that I need, and I need to be asking people questions. But at this point, I don't really know what questions to ask. I guess I don't know. So many of these questions are just, I don't know.
Move your money in the right direction. Visit TRL.org to learn information that can help you reach your goals.